have a little bit of a rant today. Whatever condition you have, whether it's a kidney stone, debilitating condition, and basically when the doctor says, yeah, so now that you had this, you're probably gonna have it again and again. And so it leaves the patient, you, me, my client, feeling like, oh my God, I'm doomed. Now this horrible thing happened and now it's gonna happen again. And what I argue is it will only happen again if you keep doing all of the things that caused it to happen in the first place. And this is why it is so important to figure out why you're experiencing this pain, this discomfort, this kidney stone, lack of muscle tone, or cognitive function. Spending some time with my grandmother, so this is really personal. She's an example, and I felt so guilty sharing this because it was so but it was Mother's Day, and I was like, I don't want to talk smack about my grandma on Mother's Day, but you know what? I'm actually really pissed. I'm really pissed because we're supposed to look to our elders to be the example, and she's not the example of growing old gracefully. She's always been a fuddy-duddy, and that's just her, that's her personality, but her doctor keeps telling her, oh, it's age appropriate, it's age appropriate. And so she's just like, yeah, I don't remember stuff. Yeah, I can't walk. Yeah, I can't go to my grandson's wedding. Yeah, I can't come visit you. I can't go out to eat. I can't watch that video, Allie, because I'm not supposed to look at the TV. I'm not supposed to watch TV. It's bad for my eyes. So she'll actually have a conversation with you with her eyes closed. Are you sleeping, Grandma? Oh no, honey, I'm fine. I'm supposed to rest my eyes. It is so frustrating. And here's what, so you might be like, Allison, give her a break. You know, she's 92 years old. Yeah, she's 92 years old. But look at Betty White. Look at so many people, Rita Moreno, who are, and not just celebrities, but people who are living really well into their 90s and 100s. And part of it has to do with their diet and their mindset. Now, my grandma has a good mindset, in that she's always testing herself and doing like brain teasers and that kind of thing. But what she doesn't do is care at all about what she's putting into her body. And in fact, she's gotten to the point where she gets mad at me and lies to me and tells my mother, tells on me to my mother. And then I get yelled at. Leave her alone, she's 92. But I go there to her house, and even though we'll have a conversation about something on the phone, and then I'll see the bottles that she's having, she's like, my doctor said I need to have that. And like, yeah, okay, it would be good for you to have CoQ10. And looking at the stuff, and on the ingredient labels, it's got GMO ingredients and all of these other fillers that are unnecessary and that actually contribute to her cognitive decline, to her accelerated aging. And it's been a really drastic decline for her. Like over the past 2 years, she's become a completely different person, and she has her mental faculty, sort of, but she's gotten like so about any kind of change. We've talked about gluten, and she gets all excited about gluten-free, but then I go and I find these lemon cookies. I'm like, Grandma, what's this? Oh, I only have 1 or 2 a day. 1 or 2 a day! And I have once gone through everything. She gave me permission. She gave me money to go food shopping for her. I threw out a whole bunch of crap. I bought her better versions of all the stuff she was already having. And when I left, she pulled all that food out of the garbage. And it's food-like substances. We're not wasting produce. It's like Pepperidge Farm shit and whatever. It was just crap. And it hurts me so much because obviously she's my grandma, and I miss that I used to be able to talk to her about things and hear stories about my grandpa and just, you know, the good old days. And we don't have that anymore. And she kind of wants to know things from me, but she really doesn't want to know, because as soon as I leave, again, she tells on me. Tell Al's she gets all stressed out. And I think that's a function of she's just not the same person anymore. My point, to bring it all back around, because this happened with a client, not about cognitive decline, but again, he's told, now that this happened, you're going to have this again. You're going to have this again. And I was told that too. When I had my problems with my knees and my butt, like all of this pain, and particularly about my knees, they told me I'll never be able to run again. I think I was 23 or 24. I'll never be able to run again. And I was like, what? Never be able to run again? That just sounded so crazy. And I can run again. And I'm old now, and I can run again, and I can squat, and I can do stairs. But what changed is everything. Everything about my diet, my lifestyle, my mindset, and not overnight, for sure, not overnight. But what needs to be added to any kind of like, this is going to happen again, unless there needs to be that addendum to whatever the doctor says. And if they're not saying that, would you call me? Because I'm telling you, in most situations, obviously there's always exceptions, but when we're talking about chronic issues or things that can be dietary related or hydration related, like a kidney stone, if you continue to dehydrate yourself or eat poorly, you're probably going to get a kidney stone again. So we often look at genetics, right? And like, oh, I don't want to have that happen to me because it happened to my mother, my father, diabetes, heart disease. I got the heart disease. If I don't look at them, my family history, as clues to, okay, that's what happened. That's what they were doing. I grew up doing the same thing. They taught me how to do that. We didn't know it was a bad thing. Oh, but if I do it differently, even though we have the same genes, I can maybe turn off those genes. This is how genes work, by the way. You have them, you're predisposed for them, but you can turn them on and off with things that you put on and around your body. So you're not destined to become this. And I know my mother and I both, we look at my grandma and we're like, I don't want to be that. And it's so upsetting. Now, the world has changed since my grandma was young and a kid and actively being a mom herself. The world has changed. The food supply has changed. Everything has changed. And so you can't just blindly trust things anymore. Unfortunately, there's a lot of companies who are motivated by profit. They are beholden to their shareholders, not to the public, not to public health. That is not what their concern is. It's about making money. And I love making money. Making money is a good thing. We should all make money. But helping people to be happy and healthy and not to keep them sick and keep them coming back to urgent care because you have these emergency situations. Or telling a 20-something that she'll never be able to walk again because she has chronic pain, debilitating chronic pain. That's insane. Can you imagine if I didn't have this feistiness in me? Now, ebbed and flowed because I would sometimes be really depressed about it, but there were other things going on in my life that also were very depressing. Hopefully I have that where I can, Gina, you know what I'm talking about, where you kind of feel depressed because something bummed you out, but then you realize like, wait, what am I doing? That is ridiculous. And I'm a smart person, and I just don't accept that I will never run again. I'm 23 years old, 24 years old. That's crazy. Thankfully, I didn't have an accident where my legs were crushed, but even then, people can have prosthetics and be able to run again. You see that all the time with the marathon. So I think it's really important to take whatever you're told by your doctor, by your doctor. Whatever you're told, take it with a grain of salt. It doesn't have to be a sentence, and this is what you're stuck with. This is your lot in life. It doesn't have to be that unless you continue doing the same things. Now, you might not know immediately what is the thing that's going to change it. It's usually not one thing. Usually it's a lot of things. It's thank you, mwah, mwah. It's usually not just one thing, but you can start with the diet, and that often leaves clues. You start going down this path, and then maybe it's not what you thought it was, but something else clears up or something else comes up, and you're like, oh, okay. And it's usually all connected. And I'm speaking sort of generally, but when you're talking about chronic pain, so that's inflammation. You're talking about kidney stones, so there's a minerals that are getting deposited. There's things that are not flushing through your kidneys. Your kidney is a major detoxifying organ. So your liver and your kidneys, huge. I mean, we have 7 detoxifying organs, but huge. And so it's a clue that something isn't right, and so you should change your ways or it will happen again. But it doesn't have to happen again. Same with people who have a heart attack. It doesn't have to happen again unless you change. Now, some people are predisposed. I now know that I'm predisposed to heart disease, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be that way. But you have to change your ways. You can't just keep going on the same way and go, well, the doctor says it's going to happen again, so, it's just my genetics, and it's just, my lot in life, and, whatever. Because I hear that a lot, too, and I think I thought that way for a long time. Like, I guess I'm just, everybody else gets to have fun, but I'm just Eeyore, sad sack. I don't feel good, so sucks. And you start telling yourself, like, my life sucks. This is just sucks. This is what my body is. Or this is getting older. That's my favorite one. This is getting older. This is what happens when you get older. It doesn't have to. There's so many examples of people who age gracefully, have their brains, have their muscle tone, have their health. Because we all want to get old, or not that we want to get old. We want to live to be old, but we want to live. We want to live, not being sitting in a chair. And that's your day is going to see doctors. That's not living. There are people here in California, in Loma Vista. There's a doctor. He's a surgeon. He's like 108 years old or something. He still does surgery. I mean, he looks not a day older, 85. And we're living longer and people are staying younger longer. So take that. Know that that is possible as long as you make some changes. I don't know what it is for you, but anytime you're told that it's just going to happen again, just remember there's always an or. Or you can do this, unless you make these changes. And maybe the doctor doesn't know what those changes are because they don't really spend any time in nutrition. They help us when we're sick, that they don't really know how to keep us well, at least conventionally speaking. That's not their practice. They are doctors of medicine, medical doctors. And so they're so good when the shit hits the fan and everything falls apart, they can put us back together, which is so great. So great. But to stay well, like being well and being healthy is not the absence of being sick. It's living. It's having energy. It's having muscle tone. It's doing things with your friends, with your family, with yourself. In just enjoying life. If you're here, if you get to still be here, then and you get to still have a body, then you get to use it, and that's what we want. And so I beg of you, anytime somebody says, well, this is it, sucks for you, is the subtext, sucks for you, here's the medication you're going to be on for the rest of your life. That's not necessarily true. It's a little asterisk. It's not necessarily true. There's often things that we can do if you want to be proactive and make some changes. It can be better. You can do it. You can totally do it. I did it. My clients are doing it. People are way older than I am are doing it. And, it was actually in the midst of all of my pain. This is back in my 20s, before it got really bad. One of the doctors said, I recommend surgery. Or, say what? Or what? Or you can strengthen the muscles around your knee and give it extra support. Now, that did work a little bit, but I didn't change other things. So things continued to deteriorate, but I avoided surgery at least that first time. And then the surgery thing came up again and again, but I still avoided surgery because I was always doing the or. Because he planted that seed in my head. When he said or, I was like, or? I like options. I don't usually like just the one thing. When somebody tells me something, I usually don't listen to just the first thing. I'm like, okay, and what else? What else? I like to have options. And you should too. Just don't settle for whatever you're being told. You don't have to have it doesn't have to recur. It doesn't. Even if your things have to change, and your health issues do not have to come back. They don't.